Great to have you with us. Now, most of the local headlines around Australia's property market have been pretty negative lately, but on the global scale, we are still right up there.
Yeah, we certainly are. 5 Australian cities are ranked in the top 50 of Knight Frank's Prime International Residential Index. It's quite a mouthful there. Head of Residential Research, Michelle Chiselsky, and Head of Residential Australia, Sarah Harding. They both join us now to take us through this report. Welcome to you both. Now, this report, it's very special to make it because you're just talking about the luxury level of the property market, aren't you? Just talking like the top rung of the property ladder, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So our wealth report basically covers the prime residential market across the globe. We also look at wealth trends, and we also look at the luxury spending of those wealthy people that we monitor.
So let's have a look at those top 10 cities now that made the list. So Manila's an interesting one, debuting it. Has it ever been at #1 on this list before? That's an interesting spot for it to hold. What brought it up there?
Look, it hasn't in the past, but what's happened, I guess, in the last 12 months is that their economy is booming over there. They've also seen, I guess, a lot of expats coming back to buy, maybe not returning, but certainly buying in that market. And they've also had a lack of supply being built at that very prestige level, which we consider at Knight Frank to be the top 5% of the market.
Right, and Edinburgh's an interesting one, obviously bucking the trend of the rest of the UK, because not a lot of places in the UK are ranked that high. In fact, London's pulled right back, hasn't it, this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, London has pulled back, but I think we look at the index in a global context, and when we look at our attitude survey, London, New York, whilst they're showing negative in the index, are still one of the top destinations for investors, both locally and overseas, to buy, which I think just demonstrates the resilience of both of those cities.
Yeah, we're looking at sort of 6 to 10 now on the list. Mexico City at number 6. Mexico. Singapore, also right up there. That's a big jump for Singapore as well, isn't it? It's really moving forward quickly. Not hugely surprising, perhaps, to see Madrid and San Francisco on that list.
No, I think San Francisco obviously flows on from the Tech Valley and massive incomes coming in that part of the world. And it's flowing on into that city as well.
Yeah. Very entrepreneurial, as you said, the tech demand, the tech cities, and as the world gets smaller, people become more global, people become more mobile. We really will see these cities rise through the ranks as we analyse these over the next couple of years.
Yeah, now let's bring it home and look at the Australian cities on the list. And the Gold Coast, this is the first time it's made the index. What brought the Gold Coast into the spotlight this year?
So I guess talking to my global colleagues on a very regular basis, I've always pushed for all of our cities to be on the prime index.
Yeah.
So we've always had, the Sydney and the Melbournes. Last year we included Perth, and then this year we included Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So I guess we're seeing now as a global destination for high net worth individuals and also the ultra high net worth. So they're those that are worth more than 30 million.
Wow.
Outside of their primary residence. So yeah, the Gold Coast, obviously we've seen a lot of migration from Sydney, a lot of people moving up, and they can obviously spend a lot more. They can buy, a lot more than what they could buy in Sydney. So certainly that market has picked up. There's also a lot of downsizers in the Gold Coast market, and they're looking for prime position, I guess, in their golden years.
Yeah.
And so we're certainly seeing that the Gold Coast has performed well.
Because there was a bit of a jump on the Gold Coast just immediately after the Commonwealth Games, but that sort of readjusted, didn't it? But when you look at internal migration figures, everybody is leaving another city. The Gold Coast is on your list, whether you're moving from Perth, from Adelaide, it sort of features in every state as a destination to move to, even within Queensland.
Yeah, look, we've got several projects up on the Gold Coast, and we're seeing a lot of inquiry from Sydney and Melbourne more recently, just because their market has increased significantly, I guess, over the last couple of years.
And with that demand's come that upper end, that higher end property, which is obviously helping push the value up into that market.
That's right. Yeah, and I think when I was on your show just before Christmas, we were talking about what was available in the Gold Coast on the waterfront, and actually there's been demand, and developers and individual developers have been developing for the needs of the market.
Yeah.
So that's why we've seen the increase in those figures.
Absolutely. All right, let's dive into some property. So can't speak. So we know exactly what we're talking about here. Let's head to Berlin first. We've picked this as an example of how high net worth individuals are living in the German capital.
So, yeah, we've got a development here called Pure, and it's on the banks of the River Spree, which really is in one of the most vibrant districts here in Berlin, and it's the Friedrichshain.
Well done. Mühlenstrasse, there we go, Pure Mühlenstrasse.
I love spending time with my colleagues from Ziegert in Berlin, because on one hand they're talking about the history, all of the old warehouses, but also we're seeing here where the buildings are bought through with a modern feel. And the area is just so vibrant, full of culture and entertainment. And just with the proximity within Europe, we really can see why it's a destination for the high net worths wanting to buy an investment.
And that's pricing that we're looking on there doesn't seem...
Yeah, the pricing isn't stratospheric, is it? I guess it's all relative to the property market in the local area.
It starts from 400,000 Australian dollars, or in euros, 250,000 euros. Europe is a competitive market. But these are the prices that our colleagues across there in Berlin are seeing.
And there's been massive transformation of Berlin. I mean, I went through many years ago, probably 30
I was there in the 90s.
Yes,
and
so was I. We nearly passed. We talked about this. We were there nearly similar times. And it's really a global city. I mean, it's an amazing location and really quite cutting edge in their styling and what they're sort of demanding from for a German occupier.
Demands, you've hit the nail on the head. Culture, history, but also medical. We're seeing a lot of the high businesses move there, so it really is a destination within Germany.
Right, let's go to Edinburgh now and look at why it's outperforming a lot of other parts of the UK. The property we'll start with looking at is one called Abercrombie. Tell us a bit about, who are the high net worth individuals who might be living in Edinburgh? What's drawing people there?
So, Edinburgh, a town of history.
The Rock.
The Rock. There will be a number of the high net worths that traditionally would have been locating in London and commuting, which will now be having their family homes. The commutability between London and Edinburgh is within less than an hour. Again, demand, there's lots...
On the...
Fast train, I presume.
On the train? No, flying.
On
flying.
Sorry.
Not on the train.
No.
Probably 6 hours on the train.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a big difference,
but really, Edinburgh has really hit the press because of the new developments that are available for investors, and the fact that the cities have come to life, and it is a city of vibrancy and culture. Also, I know we're here to talk about the property.
Beautiful room, look at that.
But it's quite interesting in our investment index, Pursuits of Passion, it's rare whiskies that have hit the high notes of what high net worths are investing their money on. So it's quite apt that we've got Edinburgh number 2, and then we've got whiskey as number 1, rising 40% over this year.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's a nice connection, isn't it? A nice whiskey in there, especially when that dark clouds are settling in that part of the world and it's time for hogmanay. We've got another one in Edinburgh, Innerwick.
Yeah, Innerwick, it's one of Edinburgh's finest houses here, and it's nestled in a private, beautifully screened walled grounds. Interesting that there's also an old coach house that's available for purchase by separate negotiation. It's in one of the most desirable suburbs, and earlier I said that Edinburgh really is hitting the demand for all of the investors, but this is in the location next to the most prestigious golf courses. So after your round of golf, you can have a rare whiskey, and then you can nestle back into Innerwick.
This looks more prestigious price point, doesn't it? 3,729,000.
Yeah, all the prices are in Aussie dollars.
Yeah, a little bit of change for $4 million.
It's to the manor born. Very different interior, quite bright and fresh for that very traditional exterior in the stone there.
It was reconfigured in the late 1990s, so it's kept the traditional Georgian architecture, but the owners have really given it a modern twist internally, which I think we're seeing globally. Very traditional, keeping the history and the heritage outside, but really want smart features and technology for everyone's needs today.
Still quite a strong traditional influence inside as well in that home, isn't there? Right, let's zip over to Boston now. Let's head over the Atlantic and see what's on offer, how the other half live in Boston.
Yep, so this is in the bustling Seaport district, and you'll get a little bit of change for $2 million Australian dollars. And so this apartment on 928 East Broadway is just adjacent to the Boston's historic Collins Mansion. This has been developed really for the investors and residents of today with smart technology, Lutron lighting, Nest thermostats. It's in the hustle and bustle, just a block away from the beach and Castle Island. It's stunning.
Yeah, lots of grand and really great particular attention to the kitchen that we just had there, the finishes, but still a little bit of a tactile in the nature of the tiles and their beautiful stonework.
And why are we seeing Boston feature so highly on the list? You know, it's above New York and you know, other wealthier cities in the US. Why Boston?
I think when you made the comment about San Francisco, people are just more mobile. They were, you know, normally the top 5 hubs: New York, London, Sydney. Now people have got the choice of where they want to live, and if they can have their demands met when it comes to family living and what they want in terms of a lifestyle, we will see entrepreneurs, high net worths and even the ultra high net worths reside where they're happy, and we will see these other cities come up through the ranks.
In accessibility. We started off with Manila on the top of that list. Now, the economy's sort of surging, but it's about, you've got a particular property, if I say it correctly, Ayala Alabang Metro Manila.
That's right. So you'll get a little bit of change from 2.75 million Australian dollars. The headline for our wealth report really is the thriller in Manila.
Sorry, we've got a Madrid property, so let's talk about this one, because we've got Madrid up on the screen at the moment. We'll do Manila next. So Madrid, this is next level then, isn't it?
Really is next level, circa 25 million Australian dollars. It's a 6-bed, 8-bath triplex in one of Madrid's best addresses.
Sorry, my mistake. I think this is actually the Manila.
Is it the tag?
This is the Manila property. I think we had the wrong snap on it, which would be
well, very close to the
Sorry about that.
CBD.
So now we're talking about Manila. Sorry, everyone.
It's nice when you can be international. You can just jump over so quickly.
I've gone from Madrid to Manila. That's
and now we're back in Manila.
Yeah, I was really fortunate to visit Manila a couple of times over the past 2 years, and wow, my expectations were completely blown away. It's a thriving economy, as Michelle said earlier, but very westernised now, and I just could not believe how entrepreneurial the businesses are progressing, and I can really see it as a hub within Asia. And with that, you have very high net worth families that need big residences for the families. Security is key, and very much the properties are within the gated communities.
Yeah, and it's a very popular thing, particularly for that sort of Asian market, isn't it? That security and those gated communities. It's a very big draw card for them, isn't it?
Really is, but the entrepreneurs that I was talking about, there's a huge synergy between the US and also Australia. So a lot of these families that we were talking about who will be buying these properties in Manila will be from overseas.
Yeah, great.
All right, we've got. Let's bring it closer to home now. Let's have a look in Sydney, how the high net worth individuals live. This is the Horizon building on Forbes Street in Sydney. $20 million. This is a different stratosphere, isn't it, to some of the other properties we've been looking at?
It really is, but it's probably one of my most favourite properties that I've visited, and it's currently on the market with Knight Frank, and expressions of interest.
Hard to see if that's a TV or a view from that room there.
Yeah, it really is exceptional. And the team have actually been very busy with viewing, so whilst you have the negativity in the market, there are people out there that are looking to buy this. It's a full floor on the 40th floor of the Harry Seidler iconic building. And it's the largest single level apartment that we've got in Sydney at the moment. The master bedroom alone is 100 square metres with his and hers, en-suite and bathrooms. It's got a self-contained quarters, and the building itself is exceptional. Very private, security with swimming pool and gym as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, you'd have to argue when you've got a property that's got an amazing view at night as well as the day. It's hard to choose between. You just don't have to leave home.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Michelle, the significance of this list, you're seeing a lot of changes year to year?
Yeah, look, we've seen, I guess, something that has stood out this year is that a lot of the cities, in terms of their growth, they've converged to be quite close in terms of the, I guess, the Australian cities that feature. All of the Australian cities were in the top 50.
Yeah, they're quite bunched together on the list, though, aren't
all
they?
Within 100 basis points of each other in terms of growth, which we haven't really seen in recent years. So definitely the high net worths and the ultra high net worths are driving that. And I guess over the last 12 months, we've actually saw a growth of 4% of that part of the population, whereas I guess the run-of-the-mill population was 1.8%. So certainly exceeding what that regular population growth is recording.
Yeah, the rich are getting richer and the poor get the picture, as the song says, isn't it? It's amazing.
And for a country of 24 million people to see 5 of our cities featuring in that top 50, it shows that the Australian property market might not be quite as bad as what some of the headlines are that we see locally sometimes. Yeah,
look, and essentially over the next 5 years in Sydney, that ultra high net worth, so those over 30 mil, it's probably expected to exceed over 1,000, which is huge. It's a massive growth for our country.
And I think when we look at our attitude survey as well, and we look at particularly where the expats or the overseas investors are looking to buy, Australia is within the top destinations, and from Asia, Australia is still the #1. So I think once we get through the elections that are going to be happening over the next couple of months, I really think the latter 6 months of this year is to play for in the property market.
Yeah, settling down.
You heard it right here on Auction Day. Sarah Harding and Michelle Shizelski, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks so much,
for taking
ladies.
us through those beautiful properties.
Thank you.
Held in the same family for over 30 years, this generous home sits on an acre of peace and privacy. It's one of the open homes we checked out a little bit earlier today. It's 100 Osborne Road in Burradoo, and we were joined on the phone by Sarah Burke, Di Jones' selling agent, to talk us through it. Sarah, down there in the beautiful Southern Highlands, what sort of a day is it to show off this beautiful house?
Hi guys, thanks for having me. It's a little cloudy today, but it's still beautiful. Coming into the autumnal season, we get a bit of that crisp air, which is just, a big reason why people love the Highlands.
Look, I think a little bit of moody lighting actually works really well with this home. It's got such great character. Talk us through the property.
Look, this property is just one of those very special properties that you feel has been, obviously, as you said, loved for, in the same family for over 3 decades. They have had, multiple family events there, and they speak so warm and loving about everything like that. Its location is perfect amongst prestigious schools, Oxley College and Chevalier College, all within walking distance. You're in a great, north to rear, which is the desired orientation, particularly here in the Highlands. Over winter, you've got that orientation in a corner block. You've got dual access being corner block, so you've got multiple ways to enter the property. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Really great layout with all your living, entertaining areas downstairs and bedrooms and bathrooms upstairs.
It's also got fantastic character and just a presence. We're looking at the shots now. The photography is quite beautiful, and that nice mood lighting coming through those gorgeous arched windows.
Oh, and they're probably 3 metres tall, those floor-to-ceiling windows. You've got your feature marble fireplace. It's got such beautiful features, this property, yet you could still put your own stamp on it. You don't have to duck in that house,
Sophie.
Neither do you, but you never do you? Now, has this been somebody's weekender, or it's their permanent family home?
No, it's their permanent family home. So the kids are getting older now, and it's time for them to pass it on to the next custodian.
There's also a note that there's the third garage or workshop, which could be subject to council approval, converted to another self-contained accommodation. So there is opportunity for people to, take advantage of that for additional income, or maybe live-in help.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've already got a double garage through one side of the house, but you do have this extra single, which it just really lends itself to either a master bedroom on the ground floor or self-contained accommodation. Really, the opportunities there are endless.
Now, Sarah, what's the price guide on this one, and when are you open?
Price guide's 1.895, and it's open today 12 to 12:30, but by private appointment any other time.
Beautiful. Well, you just want to walk out into that amazing backyard. All those windows look out to it. Perfect timing for the shots. Thank you so much for sharing the house today with us, Sarah.
Thanks for having us, guys.
All right, our next live auction is underway now. This is in Gordon in Sydney's north. Let's tune in and see where the bidders go.
this morning, so if your strategy was to wait to hear that before you bid, I strongly suggest you rethink that right now. I will simply call it up once, twice, 3 times, and I will sell it. You need to be in front at that point. I'll take the balance of those terms as being read. They've certainly been on display here today. Well, number 35 Ridge Street in Gordon. It is an outstanding family home in a prime location that we offer for your competition here today. Presented primarily in original condition, it is a real blank canvas. There is an enormous scope here to update, modernise, restyle to your own tastes and craft your own perfect dream home in this location. You're sitting on some 1,339 square metres of land. It is a very sizable parcel of land, beautifully positioned in a quiet tree-lined street, and yet we are just a stone's throw from the local Gordon shops. Of course, you've got bus and rail transport in that location. Very well liked local and private schools, of course, on the upper North Shore. So it is an outstanding opportunity, buyers. The interest here today is a testament to how popular this home has been. I won't hold you up longer. Opening bidder offer. Where would you like to start it away today, buyers? In your hands, where do we begin? 1.6, sir. Can I just see the card there, if you wouldn't mind again, at number 74 at 1.6. It's a gentle start at 1.6, and there should be a stampede of hands at that level. I would have thought an easy move to 1.7 at this point, but 1.6, an opening bid, and he throws the gauntlet down to our other buyers here today. A bid from the floor means that you can no longer sit on your hands, not that you would have. 1.7 and welcome, sir, and 2 playing now at $1.7 million. At 1.7 a bid, at 1.7 a call, sir, and would you like 1.8 straight back, or 1.750 if you like, sir, but at $1,700,000. A bid of 1.7, call it back at 1.8 now. I would have thought easy bidding at this stage, or 1.75 if it makes you more happy. This is your time, this is your cue. If you're holding a bidding card, this is the moment. 1.75. 1.75, and welcome, sir, and 3 playing now. So 1.8, 1.8 straight back, and 1.85. Your turn now, sir, at 1.8 there, at 1,800,000, and call it back at 8.50 if you will. But at 1.8 the bid now, right hand side at 1,800,000. A bit of 1.8, and call it back at 1.850 or 1.825 if it makes you happy. But at 1.8 the bid now, and 1.8 gains the ascendancy, right hand side. 1.825. 1.825, a quarter it is, and 1.850 your opportunity, sir, at 1.85 the bid. Call it back at 1.825.
1.875.
1.875, good bidding. Bam, take that, he said, at 1,875,000. A bit of 1.875. Don't be scared off, sir, it's just a strategy. Say 1.9, your turn now at 1.875, and good buying at that level. At 1.875 the bid at 1,875,000. A bit of 1.875. Return fire at 1.9, sir, at 1.9, and he said 1.9 and 25, or 1.950, another strong one, sir. Stamp your authority on it now.
1.950.
1.950, good bidding, sir. I like your style. You can come to all of my auctions at 1,950,000 to call. At 1.95 the bid, and is at 1.975, or what about a strong one to $2 million, sir? 1.975, your opportunity. Happy to take your 25 there, sir. Haven't forgotten about my opening bidder at this point. But at 1.950 bids, right-hand side. Gains the ascendancy there at 1,950,000. A number of registered parties we haven't heard from at this point. This is your time. This is your cue. Don't leave it too long at 1,950,000 bids, right-hand side. Gentleman's bid at 1.95. Calling it up now. First opportunity at 1,950,000. Twice now at
1.975.
Welcome, sir. Great to see you. If you timed your run superbly at 1.975, $2 million beckons now, sir, at 1.975 the call, and call it back at 2. Show your authority here at 1.975. You with me to own it today, sir, at 1.975 bids left-hand side. Hardly a morning's work. He's only had one bid.
1.2, sorry.
$2 million. $2 million. $2 million, and back in front there at 2, sir, and retaliate swiftly at 2 and 25 would be my advice, but at 2 the call there, and 2 the bid.
2,225,000.
25,000, another quarter, sir, and your turn now at 2 and 50 if you like, but at 2 and 25, bids left-hand side at 2 and 25. At 2 and a small quarter at 2 and 25 the bid, and call it 2 and 50. At 2.05, retaliate now, sir, at 2 and 25 bids there. Against you now, not buying in second place, unfortunately. At 2 and 25, once now. At 2 and 25, twice now. At 2 and 25, third final time. Is there any better bidder offer?
30.
30, sir, 50?
Yes.
50, better bid. 5 playing now at 2 and 50. Sir, how would you like to respond? At 2 and 50 bids, right-hand side now at 2 and 50 to call. Call it back at 2 and 75. Might need something stronger than those 5, sir. At 2 and 50 bids, right-hand side. Sir, what do you say? 2 and 75 for you at 2.05 the call. At 2.05 the bid, bids right-hand side. Regain the ascendancy now at 2 and 75 if you will. I look for your rebuttal there, sir. But at 2 and 50 the bid, right-hand side, calling it once now. At 2 and 60 he said. At 60 the bid, sir. 70 if you like, or 2.1 could be the strong move. At 2 and 60 2.60 bids back in front, left-hand side. At 2.60 the call, at 2.06 a bid, and call it back at 2.1 now, sir. That would be my move at this point. Secure the keys here today at 2.60. A strong move for it at this point at 2.60 the bid, left-hand side. Say 2.1, sir. What do you say?
270.
2.70, all right, retaliated in kind. He's playing your game, sir. Look what you've started now at 2.70 the bid now. At 2.70 the call, sir. Surely don't miss it for $10,000 there. Say 2.80 if you like, but at 2.70's right-hand side. Good signs for you, sir. At 2.70 the bid, sir. You were with me only a moment ago, sir. There's 2.70. Could I say 2.80 here? But at 2.70 bids right-hand side. At 2.70 the call, a bit of 2.07 the call. Sir, say 2.80 or 2.1 if you like to secure it here today. At 2.08 the bid. At 2.07 the call. I beg your pardon, at 2.07 the bid now. At 2.07 bids right-hand side, calling it once. At 2.07 twice. At 2,070,000, third final time. At 2.75, a cheeky 5, sir. Going to suggest a move to 2.1 at this point. That might be the money. Need to be there first. Best to be at those round numbers first.
280.
2.80. 85, straight back. No hesitation there at 2.85. At 2.85 the bid, sir, and you can take great confidence from the lack of hesitation of your competition.
2.1.
2.1, better bid. 2.5, 2.105 the bid, and still there, sir, and around the corner we go at 2.105 the call. At 2.105 the bid, and say 2.125, sir, would be my recommendation now, but at 2.105 back in front. Centre bid, gentleman's bid here at 2.105. At 2,105,000, a bit of 2.105. Call it back now at 2.125 now. Don't lose it now, sir, you've been with me the whole way. At 2.105, calling it once. At 2,100,000.
215.
2.15?
Yeah.
2.150. Great bid. At 2.15. There you go, sir. He throws the gauntlet down to you. Will you pick it up? At 2,150,000 the bid now at 2.15 a call. Call it back another 5 if you like, sir. It's just an increment at this point at 2,150,000 bid centre and right now at 2,115,000. Opening bidder at 2.15 the call at 2,150,000, sir. How do we respond at this point at 2,150,000? Sir, set the pace now at 2.155 if you will, but at 2.150 gains the ascendancy there at 2,150,000. Calling it once now and 55 and back, sir. Respond swiftly now at 2.155. He's back in front there at 2.155. What about 2.2, sir? A good strong bid at this point, or another 5 or a 10, your increments at this point, but at 2.155. Centre bid, gentleman's bid there at 2,155,000 once. At 2,155,000 twice. At 2,155,000 third final time. Is there any better bidder offer, sir? Doubts don't deliver dreams, sir, but courage and confidence can at this level at 2.155. Don't miss it today, sir. Wife says yes. Looked like a nod to me. Happy wife, happy life, sir, at 2.155. Great opportunity.
2,160.
2,160 and back. 65, no hesitation, sir, straight back. That's the sound of the market validating the price right there at 2.160. Say 2.2, sir. You might need a strong 165. Could I say 5, sir? It's another $5,000. It's a drop in the ocean at this level at 2,160,000 for a 1. I put you in front, sir. Surely for $1,000 you don't miss it today. At 2,160,000 centre bid now. Gentleman's bid. That's good sounds for you, sir. At 2,160,000, a bit of 2.16, and we call it up now. First opportunity at 2,160,000 twice now. At 2,160,000 third final time. Is there any better bidder offer, sir? Are you sure? You were with me earlier. One last lunge for the keys. For your lifestyle here in Gordon. 2,160,000. Jess, do you want to go and talk to the underbidders and the guy out the back and over there? Just make sure there's nothing left here. At 2,160,000, chips are down. Ownership beckons. 2,170, just with the card. Confirm there at 2,170, sir. Could I say 2.2? Stamp your authority on it, end the conversation there. At 2.170, he's back in front. The 10s are not quite doing it. Let's go to 2.2 and let's end the conversation. At 2.17, 5,000 more. He thinks you're nearly done, sir. Must do. At 2.175, door is open at 2.2. I think that might be the money today. At 2.175, back in front. At 2.175, at 2.175 the bid now. Sir, are you sure? You've come this far, sir. You've just got to go one more in order to own it. At 2.175 bid centre. At 2,175,000. A little bit more debt's better than a lifetime of regrets, sir, at 2.175.
Okay. 2.2.
2.2, there he is. Better bid, sir. We test it out now. At 2.2 the bid, and that's great bidding, sir. Just confirm with the card number 11 there at $2.2 million. Sir, how do you respond? Chips are down now. Gentleman on the right is in front. He got us started today. He's looking to finish it at $2.2 million. At 2-2 the bid and 2-2 the call. How'd you go? Okay. At $2.2 million, at 2-2, right-hand side, good bid there, sir. At $2,200,000, a bit of 2.2. At 2.2 the bid now. And this is that moment, sir. This is your time. This is 5,000, sir. Gee, you've timed your run superbly. Welcome. Can I just grab that number again, sir, if you wouldn't mind? 89, late running interest at 2,205,000. He sat on the rails all the way to the finish and pulled out as we come into the straight at 2.205. Do we go for the whip at this point at 2.205, sir? Chips are down. Anything left there, sir? I appreciate your bidding today. It's been strong bidding. Don't let it go at this point, sir, at 2.205. He's only had one bid this morning. He's hardly done a morning's work for us at 2.205. Calling it now once at 2.205. Twice at 2,205,000. Third final time. Is there any better bidder offer? The hammer rises at 2.205. Sir, are you sure? Is there another 5? Test it out. See if he's also above it at 2.205. 10? 5 more. 10. Sir, what about a strong move to 2,250? All right. 10 more. What about 10, sir? 20? He's at 2,210,000. You're back in second place now, sir. Not buying at this point. Surely didn't come for one bid. Sir, another 5? It's here. Bid's here. It's against you now. Not buying at 2,210,000. At 2,210,000. A bit of 2.210. Calling it now once at 2,210. Twice now at 2,210,000. Third final time. Is there any better bidder offer? Do we miss it today at 2,210,000? Are you sure? Another 5,000?
The bid's at 2,210.
2,210,000. It's gentleman's bid here. Number 73 at 2,210,000. Moments for pause now, so we appreciate your patience. You're in the box seat where you need to be. We'd do the same if we were selling your home at 2,210,000. Bid centre now, gentlemen in the centre. Bid strongly. 5,000 more. Can we just confirm with the card? 15, and he's still there, sir, at 2,215,000. At 2,215,000, a bit of 2.215. Sir, call it back at 20, or I'm going to suggest a strong one to 2,250, sir. Again, you have that opportunity to stamp it out with a strong bid at this point at 2,250. But at 2,215,000 the bid, at 2,215,000 the call, and call it back at 250 now, I would have thought, but at 2,215,000 the bid now, at 2,215,000, a bit of 2.215, calling it now once at 2,215, twice at 2,215. So what about 2,250? Close it out, strong bid. Lunch for the keys now.
1,000.
1,000. Ooh. Testing you out at 2,216. Not sure that'll do it, sir. It's no great dent in the fender, but at 2,216, you're not scaring anyone off with $1,000 at 2.216. Sir, ma'am, I'm suggesting that move to 2,250, but at 2,216,000, you're only $1,000 in arrears of his position. Surely you don't miss it for that increment. At 2,216,000, a bit of 2.216. It's there, sir, against you now. Say 20 at least, I would have thought. At 2,216,000, don't miss it for $1,000. Calling it once now at 2,216. Twice now at 2,216. Third, final time. Any better bidder offer at 2,216. Quickly now. 17. So you're going to need something stronger. 20. 20. Could I say 20? So we can spend all afternoon doing $1,000. I don't think that's going to own it. Could I say 20?
18.
18. All right. 18 the bid. 20. 18's there. At 2,218,000 against you now. Back in the centre at 2,218 the call. At 2,218,000, a bit of 2.218. Call it back at 20. Might need something stronger than those ones. Not scaring anyone off with that at 2,218 the bid now. At 2,218,000, a bit of 2.218. And call it back at 220, but at 2,218. First opportunity now. Twice now at 2,218. Third final time. Is there any better bidder offer? 2.218 is the bid, and it's there, it's against you. 18. Say again, 20? 20? Yeah. 20? 20 the bid there. Sir, going to need something stronger at 2,220. Still scrapping away at 2,220,000. A bit of 2.222. At 21, he said. Blackjack at 2,221,000. At 221 the bid now. Sir, say 30. Say 30, stronger bid might be the one that secures it here today at 2,221,000. Say 30.
That's it.
That's it. Don't give away your strategy, sir. At 2,221,000 for $1,000. Are you sure? At 2,221,000. Bids here. It's against you now. Not buying. About to miss it. At 2,221,000 once, twice, third final time it goes. Hammer rises at 2,221,000. Are you sure, sir? It's against you right now. It's here. At 2,221,000. Happy advisors? Happy to miss? Happy to miss? Jess?
Sell it.
Okay. You heard the instructions, buyers. In the absence of a better bid, I'm going to sell it to this gentleman, so you need to beat me inside of 3 calls if you are here to own it at 2,221,000 once, twice, third final time. It goes now. It goes. Sold. Congratulations. Well bought. Thank you very much to our underbidders, and on behalf of Jess and Jason and the team, have a fantastic week.
Now that's an auction, Sophie
Yeah, that's
Hull.
what I call an auction. Look at that.
He wasn't going to, didn't want to accept it first off. First bid was 1.6, and then it was $100,000 increments to get it up. And once it hit that $2 million, then it started to slow down a little bit. But there was definitely a couple of bidders who really wanted this property, slowing it right down to the end there to $1,000 bids and getting it over the line. $2,221,000 for this property in Gordon. And I think it's all about the potential of the property there.
Yeah, and fine work there by auctioneer Clarence White. We try not to hear everything over the mic. We may have heard a few things we weren't potentially meant to have, but I did like hearing that little bit where the agent went,
Sell it.
And then, like, boom, and the hammer came down.
But look, a really healthy, strong market there. It's a great suburb, Gordon, in Sydney. High demand, and obviously, look, a really good, solid property. But I think it's all about where this property can go because its block of land and location is fantastic. You can see they're pretty low vacancy rate.
Sydney as a whole has pulled back sort of up over 9%, so the growth, the depreciation in Gordon over the past 12 months has been a bit less than perhaps some other parts of Sydney. It's not a huge suburb, which would be why there's not a great deal of stock on the market, but they are big, gracious homes, and a great story behind this house, the fact that the woman who lived in it was actually born in a house across the street.
I think it's an amazing story, isn't it? And 90, if I remember correctly, when we spoke to...
in her 90s.
Yeah, Jessica Stubberfield a little bit earlier, and she was right on hand there next to the auctioneer Clarence White during that whole thing. Estimated value, as you can see, was $2 million, and even looking at the comparable sales in Gordon, we're around that $2,160,000. There was one just in November last year, around that figure, and from all the research, we were getting pretty close to that figure. 2 million, maybe up to between 1,723. So we were definitely within the upper bracket of that.
But one that had been knocked down and rebuilt, sold for over $3 million quite recently in the same street.
Really
so
big block of land. 1 million. 1,339 square metres. So it's really about the block size of what you can do.
Well, it's zoned R2 there, so you couldn't do duplexes like we were talking about earlier today, but you could put a granny flat
or an expansive home, and it's a flat block, which is obviously really low site costs as well, so a lot going for it. Well done.
Now for more on the rising land values in Queensland, we're joined by Zoran Solano, Senior Property Buyer with Hot Property Buyers Agency. And Zoran, just before we get into land values, there's one more resident in Brisbane, we understand. Congratulations on the birth of your beautiful baby girl.
Yes, thank you very much. This week's been a very busy one, and I've been up since 1 o'clock this morning, so if I stumble a little bit, please forgive me.
It's also dedicated, and my beautiful co-host Sophie is relishing the fact that your daughter's Sophia.
Yes, you've chosen the name very well,
I think it could have been Jamie, but that's all right, we'll settle for that.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
We'll be delicate with you then, as we know that you're probably feeling a little tired and emotional today. Now, look, what's driving the surge in land values in Queensland, do you think?
Yeah, look, I definitely agree with some of the sentiments in that little clip we just played. Interstate migration and well, obviously natural increase also is increasing the population here in Queensland, specifically in southeast Queensland. As we see, that's where the most employment opportunity is. So that's one of the factors. But also I feel that over the last property cycle, the significant differential between the Sydney, Brisbane and Melbourne median house price is now really starting to put more pressure upward on the Brisbane market.
Do you see that a rise in the land value translates to a rise in the property value?
Look, it does not directly correlate. If your property goes up 10% from the Valuer General's report, it doesn't necessarily mean that the dwelling has, or the property itself on the current market. You've got two factors in a property price, the land value and then the appreciation, the dwelling that you then put on top. So you've got these two different factors. A dwelling can depreciate while the land appreciates, and that may not see a direct correlation between that land growth. But I think, for me, I think it's a positive sign, and it's definitely something when I review the value of properties when I'm looking to purchase, something I consider when comparing and contrasting different options.
Right, so would you interpret this as a good thing or a bad thing for investors when land values surge?
Yeah, look, some people out there, especially if you are being hit with land tax, may be looking at this as a cash grab from the Queensland Government. The Valuer General's office is an independent entity, and so they do act autonomously. But at the end of the day, I see this as a positive. Although an increase in land value often increases your rateable value of your land and also could potentially put you into land tax territory, I think overall investors and homeowners should see this as a positive.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it better if it means that you're paying higher tax but your property is worth more?
Look, this is exactly it. If you take a holistic view of your property portfolio, if you're a serious property investor, land tax is not something that you can avoid. There are strategies, ownership structures, those sort of things that have their own land tax threshold, your personal land tax threshold, those sort of things where you can try and avoid it. But if you're planning on building a substantial portfolio, you will be hit by land tax at some point. And you're exactly right. I feel increasing the value of my portfolio, if I have to pay a little bit of extra tax, that's the cost of doing business.
So for people who are looking to land bank at the moment, they're looking at potential sites and think, I'll just hang on to that until the property price rises. Is this a bit of a sting in the tail for them?
Yeah, look, I think for me, land banking is a really interesting opportunity. I always prefer to buy something with a dwelling on the land to supply us with some rental income, some holding income. Banks like it a lot more as well. So I think when you're looking at something like that, you do need to consider the time frame you're going to be owning the property and the time frame you're going to undertake an improvement to the property to be able to generate some income.
Yeah, I mean, they're big benefits that you're talking about. Obviously, a return that's quicker during its time. The land banking idea for the land, you're looking at a much longer timeline, aren't you, before you're really realising any uptake in value?
That's exactly right. And a lot of people are trying to hope for a change of zoning. That's often one of the drivers as to why people will land bank. Not just the natural appreciation of the value of the land, but changes in the council regulation. And we have seen that in Brisbane, and we've seen some people overnight millionaires from those kind of phenomenons when council zone from a regular house to 5 to 6 stories on the exact same block of land. You can double or even triple your property value. But it is a very, very risky strategy. What if it never gets rezoned? There's a lot of pitfalls in that strategy as well that I think people need to be very worried about and really do some due diligence into.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some great examples in Sydney of, land holdings just on the outskirts, which are suddenly worth millions of dollars because of the rezoning. So you can strike gold sometimes in those sorts of markets, can't you? But what are the difficulties from a lending perspective if you're trying to just buy land and also if you're banking on that land value going up?
Yeah, so your LVR or loan-to-value ratio is often a bit different to residential property with a house on it. Often there's a minimum of 20 or 30% deposit needed. Obviously, if we reflect back to the housing market with a regular house, you can leverage up to over 80% if you choose to get LMI insurance or lender's mortgage insurance. So often the bank wants you to put more of your money in and less of their money in, and it's a way for them to de-risk themselves. Again, if you stop paying your mortgage and they need to sell the property, land does have a slightly longer time on market than a house, so there's less buyers out there for that type of property. So the bank knows this and they consider that into your loan-to-value ratio. Also as well, obviously, you do not have an income from the property. Unless it's big enough to adjust some cattle on or something like that, you've got an agricultural use for the land. Having no dwelling on it does make it difficult difficult and impossible to obviously get an income, especially in inner city areas. And so the bank will consider that, and obviously you need to have a strong borrowing capacity yourself and serviceability.
If you were talking to people about that, Zoran, I mean, is there a realistic? Are you looking like, guys, we're looking at 5 years, 10 years? I mean, is there a time frame that's realistic? I mean, it's an open-ended question because it's reliant on what's happening around it, I suppose.
And I think every investor is different with their investment portfolio and the way they structure the building of that portfolio. Each property that I purchase for my clients within their portfolio has a specific strategy, and I guess it's a tree that bears fruit at a certain period in their portfolio's life. So for land, you know, you need to look at, well, how much is this going to be digging me a hole into the ground, pardon the pun, with costs and no income? Obviously, we have hopefully some capital growth on that land as well. But you know, it's often a balancing act. But for me, if you're going to land bank, there are actually some great land banking opportunities here in Brisbane, but you can buy something with an old house on it. And it's similar to what I've done with my portfolio. In fact, I've got my own valuation notice just here. In Wavell Heights, you know, one of my properties saw a 5% per annum increase, but it's really, really interesting because I've actually done some research of how these values differentiate from street to street. It's very, very interesting. My land valuation on one of these properties is $530,000, which is about 80% of the property's current market value. So considerable amount of the value of the property is the land. Now, interestingly, the adjoining property to the rear of mine, which has slightly more elevation, has a value of $560,000. Exact same block size, one street difference, backing onto the same adjoining boundary, but a $30,000 difference. And also just around the corner, there's the same size block on a busy road for $455,000 was their land value. So, you know, $100,000 difference for being on a busy road. So there's all these different factors that will influence a valuation of your land, and I believe then will correlate to the value of your property as well.
Yeah, and how long does it take for that to flow through, for the value of your land to be reflected in? Because, you know, the land values have gone up, as we saw in that package a few moments ago, but the property prices haven't had the same sort of rise in Brisbane over the same time frame. So what is the relationship there?
What I see is that sellers, because obviously a seller gets this little letter and it says, look, your value's gone up by 10% in 2 years, congratulations, they then get an expectation that their property has gone up by that much. So I feel that this then filters into the market via seller expectation, first and foremost, and then buyer education as these figures are updated on portals like CoreLogic and automated valuations that sometimes list land value changes as well. So it is a filtration process from the Valuer General to do this, and then for the consumers to really realise the benefits. But I still strongly believe that it is supply and demand, buyer activity, and you know, that really fuels values, not necessarily a piece of paper with a land valuation.
Well, Zoran, we come to you for your wisdom and knowledge, and you are a senior property buyer. What would be your top tips for people who are looking to buy land?
Yeah, definitely. I've got 5 tips for everyone out there. I think there's some gold amongst these ones. Size is relevant to location. So just like we see in Sydney, you guys showed a property just before, 55 square metres of land holding, you know, relative to the area, I'm sure that's a pretty typical. Here in Brisbane, 405 to 607 is a great block size. But again, it needs to be relevant to the location that you're looking to buy. Avoid aggressive slopes. Sloped land does devalue the land as well, increased building costs and those sort of things as well. Avoid busy roads. As I mentioned before, we see a clear correlation from land values of quiet streets to busy roads, and obviously flood affected as well. Be careful of council regulations. So if you're planning on buying land, make sure that what you want to do on the land is possible. It seems pretty straightforward, but there might be some character implications that may affect what you can do, or zoning implications. And the last one as well is to make sure that there are services connected, sewer and water. It's not necessarily the case that they must be supplied. There are different situations where a block of land can be sold with no services, and you then need to install them at your own cost post-settlement. So make sure you do your due diligence into that prior to going unconditional here in Queensland.
Soren Solano, very sound advice, as always, from you. Go and give that new baby a cuddle from us, and thanks for sharing your advice with us today.
Thanks so much,
Thank you very much, guys. Catch you later.
Our next live auction is just about to get underway in Oaklands Park in Adelaide. We haven't had an auction there before. We've had a few in Glenelg, which is not far away, but it's a great little suburb. It is undergoing quite a bit of transformation, and the house that's going under the hammer today has also had a bit of transformation of its own in recent years. The current owners have been there since the early 2000s, and they've done a lot of work on this property to bring it up to the beautiful standard that we see here today.
Yeah, look, the gardens are beautifully maintained, and we talk about landscaping being a really big value add to properties, and it definitely is on this one, especially with its 800 square metre block of land. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath and 5-car property, and we do have a price guide too of about $600,000 on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you always sort of kind of add 10%, I think, to that price guide when you're talking about Adelaide property. So we would expect it to go for high sixes, you might think. But it's, yeah, as we said, quite close to Glenelg. The estimated value that we got from CoreLogic puts this at 500, but you know, they're not the most accurate guides, because obviously this is where a computer's not as good as just talking to an agent who's got a better idea about what's going on in the area. But in terms of recent sales, there are a lot in the sort of the high fives, but it's not far from Warradale, which is a slightly more expensive suburb in Adelaide, and the agent was saying that if it had been in that suburb, it would have got about an extra 100,000 or so.
Yeah, right. It's the property itself has been built in 1967, so it has been updated. You can see there it's just very crisply presented and beautifully styled throughout, which has really made a great, you know, increased feeling of value in there. One bathroom's been renovated, one is more original, but the auction is just underway now, and I think we're going to start with this one, see how this one goes in beautiful Oaklands Park in South Australia.
For Thursday the 18th of April, which is Easter Thursday before Easter, that gives you a perfect opportunity to move your furniture and possessions and start enjoying this fabulous family home over the Easter break. Now, we include in the sale of the building improvements, fixed floor coverings, light fittings, window treatments, dishwasher stays, ceiling fan stay, the surround speakers and TV bracket in the rear family room are included in the sale, together with a couple of urns sitting out on top of that little surround area in the backyard, as well as that a walk-up feature, and of course all the normal built-ins, fixtures and fittings. The legal description is all that land is certificate of title, volume 5466, folio 639. Folks, under the provisions of current real estate legislation, I'm required by law to confirm that all registered bidders have received the following documentation. That is the Form R3 Buyer's Information Guide, Form R4 Bidder's Guide, and the Form R5 that talks about collusive practices. And furthermore, I state that the property is being offered subject to our vendor's reserve price as recorded in the auction record. In order to bid, you must be registered, and when making your bid, display your identifying number. As the auctioneer may bid on behalf of the vendor, but not more than 3, up to but not at or exceeding the reserve price, and any such bids will be clearly identified as a vendor bid. The bidding reaches or exceeds the reserve price, I'll call that bid 3 times before announcing the property sold, and no further bids will be accepted. As the auctioneer, I have the authority to sign the contract on behalf of the vendor or purchaser or both, and the purchaser will need to arrange insurance cover on the property to protect their legal and equitable interest. And finally, folks, I remind you that you bid on a cash unconditional basis today, and no calling off rights apply. Well, folks, that's a little bit of information for you to absorb, and I do thank you for your patience. Before we go on that quick final tour, are there any questions at all? Well, folks, again, welcome to 28 Milton Street. I know Amy and Peter recognise quite a few familiar faces. I'm sure there's a few of our lovely neighbours here as well, keeping up to date with values, and that's a great thing. Again, welcome back for this important auction sale. Well, folks, there's immaculate and there's immaculate. And this is beyond the words immaculate. It's a property that's been loved in and lived in and beautifully restored and presented for your purchase here today. Built in 1967, but obviously upgraded in that time frame to provide very, very tasteful and lovely lifestyle living. It's a floor plan that provides you with some 8 rooms. Now that's what I call family accommodation. As you walk into the side entry, you have that lovely cosy formal lounge with gas space heater, 3 bedrooms up front with extensive built-in wardrobes, an excellent main bathroom, full bathroom, to service those bedroom areas. And of course you have that lovely designer kitchen, beautifully equipped, nice bench top work with a view out into the back garden. A separate dining area. The rear family room is where you're going to spend most of your time, entertaining, connecting the outside with the in. Air conditioning system on the wall. And of course a bonus is that third living area, a room that you could call the teenagers' wing, the teenagers' retreat, where they can have their own space, their own friends around, maybe use it as a combination study, but all in all a fabulous third area in which to relax and enjoy. The decor right through, folks, is unbelievably immaculate, just like the rest. There's nothing to do to this property at all, except move your furniture in, break open the Easter eggs over Easter, and enjoy gracious lifestyle living. Land size, folks, about 800 square metres, and as you've wandered around you can appreciate the back garden area is serene. It is beautiful. It is unbelievably finished and furnished and set up for you to enjoy, for outdoor entertaining. You've got the water feature I mentioned, the patio deck, which is extensive, for barbecuing and enjoy your family and friends on weekends perhaps, a rear garden shed or storage area, carport lock-up on the side with automatic door, room for at least 2 cars plus driveway, and of course I mentioned before the gardens and grounds are perfect. And folks, when you buy residential real estate, it is all about location. This area is emerging. It is becoming a high demand suburb. You have great facilities around, the SA Aquatic Centre, world class, the Westfield Marion Shopping Centre, bus corridors to town, parks and reserves and schools all very close by. It is a great place in which to live. Well, folks, have been searching for a well-built, magnificently presented family home with adaptable family accommodation in an emerging lifestyle location. The good news this afternoon, your search is over. This is it. Eljoka, Bryden, Peter and Amy are very proud to be entrusted with this property sale. Those of you bidding here this afternoon, we take this opportunity to wish you every success in your efforts to become the new owners. The buyers, I've said enough, it's over to you. For 28 Milton Street here in Oaklands Park, it is your turn to do the talking. An opening bid and offer the starting price. What do we bid for the property? What are we offered? Right, enough said, mate. Just under 30 degrees, folks, so I leave the coat on. When it hits 30, it comes off. When it hits 40, I auction in my bathers. Okay, fair deal? Beautiful day to buy real estate. Opening bid and offer to start. Hey, yeah, great start. Thanks, Pete. Peter just said that'd be awesome. Opening bid and offer, folks. Start us away if you will. You're the judges on value, not us. We just have the privilege of adding up the numbers. Opening bid and offer, folks. A number of bidder registrations. I know you're here to buy. No better opportunity than this. 8 rooms, family accommodation, perfectly presented, great location. Start us away. Bag too heavy, madam. If you bid up, it'll become lighter. Opening bid and offer, folks. Bid us away now, quickly. I know you're thinking, would 600 be a fair start on our guide? I would have thought so. Get on with the business. Wait for your opening bid at 600, surely. If you think about buying a home like this and then doing the renovation, the upgrade, 2 bathrooms I might add, and then furnishing the gardens and grounds, you're well over that price. $600,000 starting bid. Help me out here, folks. Start us away. Time to buy, folks. Waiting for your bid. What are you thinking, folks? All right, 580 my bid for the vendor now. We'll start you at a price at 580. Plenty of room on top of that price. At 580 my bid. At 580 done. Take $10,000 rises from here at Shorley. At 580 my bid. You're done. Any further now at 580? Good afternoon, madam. Hi. At 580 my bid now. Waiting for you at 90 Shorley. You're done now at 580. Those of you that have looked at the papers and the real estate websites can appreciate there's not much for sale. The stock level is down. The good news that Adelaide, South Australia, prices are still rising. Eastern seaboard states, not so much so. So now's the time to buy, guarantee your investment here. As well as that, a great lifestyle home at 580 my bid, 90, Shorley. Yep. I know you're thinking, at 580, first call then. Second call at 580.
590.
Where are you?
590 in front.
Afternoon. What's your bidding number? 8, is it? 580. 580 is my bid, 90 is yours. Okay? 590 is your bid, bidder 8 now at 590. At 590, waiting for you at 6 Shorley. Perhaps where we should have started. At 590, it's your bid. At 590, done. 600, thank you. Bidder 7, welcome. At $600,000, we're finally getting away. At 600,000, your bid. 610, madam, can I say it for you quickly? At 600 bids here. Thank you. 610 will bid. Bidder 8, lucky number. At 610's the offer. 20, are we going, sir? Again. At 610's the offer. 20, thank you. Bidder 7. Good judges. At 620, the offered now. At 620's the bid. 30. 620 the bid here. You've probably got to go 630. Yes? 630? Yeah, hold your number up, please. I just need to record that. Thank you. At 630 a bid. At 630 done. 40, sir? 35 maybe. Yes, well bid. At 635, bidder 7. At 635. At 635's the offer. Just 2 bidding. Waiting for you, sir, in the middle, I know. At 635 your bid. 40. At 640's the offer, bidder 8. At 640 it again you now. At 645. Sure. Give you time to think. At 640 your bid. You're on top. At 640 it's your bid, okay? Understand. Good. At 640, 2.5 quickly. 2.5. 640, 2.5, bidder 7. 640, 2.5, 5. 645, bidder 8. 7.5. Sure. Time to think. 645 is your bid. That's 645 done. Any further? At 645. First call, second, third and final. All done. At $645,000. All silent. 1 minute, folks. Just need to refer that to our vendors. I know. We won't be long, I can assure you. 645 your bid.
Okay, just going to check with the vendor if 645's okay, but you would imagine that it probably is, given 600 was the price guide, and that's sort of within that 10% buffer either side of that. So I would think that we're looking pretty much like we're in good shape for this auction.
I agree. I mean, you know, the guide on this one is 600,000. First bid after quite a lengthy preamble and pause to try and get something motivated was 580,000, which is actually a vendor bid. After that, though, it did get it motivated and going, a couple of $10,000 jumps or so, and now sitting at 645 with a bit of a discussion just to see how far we're going to get over the line.
Yeah, that's right. The current owners bought this place in 2005. They paid $342,000 for it there. They've done an extensive amount of work, particularly in that back garden area where they've put a great deal of thought into all the landscaping, which has had times to really take hold and grow, and it looks quite beautiful and
Yeah, it
established
is.
now.
It's really about the landscaping on this block. I mean, it's about that interesting space and link outside. 800 square metres, which is quite a large block, but pretty atypical when we're speaking with the agent, Peter Hercombe, a little bit earlier. Some recent sales in Oaklands Park, South Australia. 14 Oliphant Avenue was 700 square metres, and that sold between 550 and 600. And in Johnson Road, Oaklands Park, was 800 square metres, and that sold for 525. So we're sort of already, you know, up above those prices, which is pretty a good indicator for how this auction's going.
Yeah, and as we know, the Adelaide market has been sort of the star performer. Certainly on this show this year, we've seen our strongest results coming out of Adelaide. It is a great market where you are getting a lot of buyers from interstate and elsewhere having a look at it quite closely as well, because it hasn't yet bolted, but it does have beautiful...
There's been growth, though. In 2011, the population was 3,289, and in 16, it was 3,829. So it had a growth population of 16.4% in that amount of time. So it's obviously been a space that people are coming into, and the stats show that it's actually quite a young demographic that are in this area. So these are young families getting into the market and living and enjoying that sort of suburban life. There's even an expectation of what these people are repaying in figures based on the prices of the properties, and they're paying about $1,400 to $1,799 per month on their mortgage repayments. This is information via propertyvalue.com.au, which is part of, as we speak about things that you can do to research your property, and especially your area when you're looking to buy a property for yourself.
Yeah, it is well located, Oaklands Park. It's not too far from Glenelg, about 10 minutes or 20 minutes or so from the city, which is, you know, in Adelaide everything's 10 to 20 minutes
everything's
from
very
the
close,
city,
isn't it?
Everywhere.
You can see that bathroom there, that's more original, but in great condition. I actually love those blues. Everything else has been styled really well in this home and updated. The other bathroom has been renovated. But
well, that was part of the extension.
Yeah,
they did
correct.
put on an extension as part of their renovations, and the new bathrooms in that part of the house.
We've got a good school catchment. There's Warradale Primary School, Christ the King School, Westminster School as well. All, you know, half a K to just over a K away. So really good draw card. Auction is back. Let's listen to what he has to say.
We've done that. The highest bid is 645 with you. If you can confirm that, please. Just hold your number up again. 645 is your bid. I'm here to tell you the good news, folks. If there's no further, 3 calls, hammer goes bang, and we sell. Clear? Last chance, last opportunity. At $645,000, once, twice. Third and final, I think you've got the keys. We're bid offered, selling, and... So, well done, great buying, congratulations on your purchase. Thanks to the underbidders. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Well, how's that? We'll just do a quick going once, going twice. Gone. 645,000. You know, really, it's above their price guide, as we said, of 600,000. Didn't take much of a discussion in there with the vendors, did it? I think they were pretty happy.
Yeah, I think that was a deal that was pretty easily done. Sold. There we go. Another great sold auction here on Auction Day on Your Money channel. Great result there in Oaklands Park. Just shows that it certainly pays to hang on to your property, do some
It sure does.
great work on it.
And well done to those vendors who have moved from a property that's not far from the beach to even closer.
Yeah.
So it's obviously now a couple of minutes away instead of, you know, 15 minutes away. So really well done. Nice to hear the stories of people moving on in their property journey.
Yeah, as they climb the property ladder. We're going to take a quick break now.